Rattle, and Troll, a show for the serious fishermen, as well as the novice looking for tips from the pros. Shake, Rattle, and Troll is brought to you by Bill Luke Dodge Chrysler Jeep. Now, here's your host, saltwater fisherman and tournament pro, Don McDowell.
Yeah, man. Hey, welcome to Shake, Rattle, and Troll today. Guess what? I am Don McDowell. We have the president of the ADA, our donut sponsor.
Bagel Man.
Bagel Man. JK's in the house. John Colzar. And back from the woods, finally, Joe Notcher from Lookout Mountain Outdoors.
He enjoyed that hunt.
I loved it. Absolutely.
What was your motivation in coming home?
Thinking.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Yeah, she's sitting right over here. You better come up with something real quick.
So you better bring meat home.
Nice.
Ooh.
Ooh-rah. Yeah, nice.
Yes, dear.
Hey, here's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about roll call. We've got some real serious business right before the break at the top of the hour, and not good news today. The tuna fishing, we'll brief over that. Still blowing up pretty hard, and going to do a little bit of a wolf recap. There's been some Arizona Game and Fish Department meetings across the state that we'll let you know. Some good, some bad. A lot of disengaged people, including the Arizona Republic today, and we'll talk about that. So, Joey, let's start off with congratulations on your bull hunt.
Oh, well, thank you. No, we had a camp with 3 tags in it, and we got them all filled. So that's a huge plus right there.
How many days did you spend in the woods total?
A lot.
Yeah.
Never enough, though, Joey. Never enough.
No, I expected you to come back with a full beard and the Eustace Conway look.
I actually had that when I got home, and
I was going to say you look like you ran into the Marie's buzz cut.
No, not going for it, huh?
No, she did not go for that at all.
Yes, dear.
Amazing. A little follow-up last week. We had Justin Henry on, Stand Up for Veterans, and that came down yesterday. I have to tell you, it turned out pretty well at Glendale Community College. We supported the event with Army trucks, lots of Army trucks.
God, I love those trucks.
Yeah, I was a little annoyed at first, when you're asked to participate into an event and it's inside the campus buildings and they put you outside in the parking lot. It's kind of like the wolf issue. We get invited, and this has happened a couple of times. You get invited. I'll pick on the Arizona Cardinals and Nancy Perry. They wanted Army trucks at this big car show they were doing. We pull up, and the little turd from the Cardinals camp says, "Oh, my God, I didn't know they were so big." We were relegated to holding down the parking lot. We got relegated to holding down the parking lot over at GCC yesterday.
Don, there is not a door created that's going to let one of those in.
Okay, here's a caveat. On the grass over at the Cardinal Stadium, they had a fully loaded Budweiser truck.
Oops.
Okay?
Argument
over
out the
here
door.
At Glendale Community College, they had a fully loaded Volvo 18-wheeler pulling a biggest barbecue grill I ever saw in my life.
It wasn't the big Johnsonville, was it?
No, it wasn't the Johnsonville brought truck. No, I've seen that. No,
yeah.
This was a blue and white rig. But anyway, it turned out all good. The caveat, Mayor Jerry came over and said, thank you guys. And Justin was extremely nice in his comments. One veteran was driving by, didn't have a clue what was going on. Saw the Army trucks. You can't miss them.
Yeah.
Well, Albert brought down a 10-ton tractor with a 5,000-gallon fuel wagon on it.
I could drive my Prius for 2 years on that.
Exactly. Well, we have a wagon. They
with an elk in it.
Yeah. Charlie just bought a ammo wagon. And it's very low profile, and it's truly like a wagon. It's got the front dolly that hooks to the back of the truck, and trying to back it up is just like not happening.
Nope.
Anyway, this soldier veteran saw what was going on. He pulled in and goes, "What's going on?" So well, we're having a job fair, and the judges and motor vehicle was there, and you could get a haircut with the mayor's barber. And guy walked in and came out with a job, was unemployed. I mean, really suffering. So, the good that was done yesterday, I think, was really extremely positive, and I'd like to see more of it because these guys were right on the brink of becoming
homeless
wards of the state, or homeless, if you will, and a lot of good went out. Justin worked really hard, nice guy, and listening to him last week, I think he's going to make a good legislator. He gets it.
He understands.
Yeah, he's had 3 tours, and he gets it. So, anyway, how many in your hunting party?
We had 3 tags in one camp, 2 in another camp. So there were 5 of us that knew each other that were up there hunting in the same unit. So
how many went down?
The 3 of us got our elk. The other camp did not. So
wrong camp to sit in,
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But 2, a 7x7, a 6x6, and then I shot a bull with 20 minutes left in the hunt. I shot a 5x5.
That's pushing it.
Oh, to the limit.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, I've had a couple of those days.
You know what, though? It's a whole lot better than walking in the last day with the arrows still all in the quiver going, should have done that.
Taken that shot.
Yep.
Well, I usually hold out, and I really don't care if I come home empty-handed. I do what I like to do, which is chase big elk, which I had that opportunity.
Hold on a minute. Is that a true statement, Valerie? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Well, yeah, this year she was, why don't you bring some meat home? And even my buddies started bugging me, and my youngest daughter, oh, my God. I should just bring some meat home.
Yeah.
So I thought about it, and on that last day, I was pushing it for pretty much anything that came in front of me. And,
yeah, we were on JK like a monkey on a cupcake. He calls, he was really cool about checking in. I said, well, how'd you do today? Oh, I passed on a couple of 300 bulls fighting at 28 yards. I'm going, you what? Come on, let me slap you.
It was fun to listen to them, though. I had junipers in between me and them, and my son was behind me. And all of a sudden I hear a crack. And then I hear crack, crack, crack. And he looks at me and I go, fight. And we took off on a dead run, got to that 30-yard point, and almost just like that, they stopped fighting and they walked parallel to each other, screaming at each other, at 30 yards, and they start going up the hill, and I'm going, A, B, A, B, A. Nah, it's still young. It's still early in the hunt.
No cows with them.
None.
Yeah. We get in 5B North, during these drought years, we get a very spotty rut. One day they turn on in one area, the next day nothing. I mean, it's very, very spotty.
They must have been old bulls. I'm kind of like that. Kind of a spotty rut.
I don't know, Don. You rut pretty hard. I see.
But I did get to chase a phenomenal bull for 4.5, 5 days. So
how big was it? Roughly.
I'm going to guess he was over 385. So
wow.
And I had him at 45 yards was the closest I got to him, with another bull in between us, and didn't get it done. I mean, they don't get that big for being stupid.
No, they're pretty cagey.
But that time of year, it's usually the lead cow that's the smart one. They get him out of harm's way, and finally we lost it. I couldn't find him anymore, and so I helped my brother-in-law. He was with me to get his first archery elk. And, it was a nice bull, too. In fact, when I first saw that bull, I didn't know if he was going to be shooting or I was going to be
yeah.
Excuse me, I'm helping you, but look out. Get out of my way.
But he got it done. He did a great job. He shot the bigger of the 2 bulls that were running together there. And, I got to watch the whole thing, which is amazing. And I told him early on in the hunt, I said, if it came down to me shooting a 300-inch bull or you shooting a 300-inch bull, I'd get much more enjoyment watching him do it.
Yep.
So about midway through the hunt, he shot a 340-inch bull.
Wow.
So,
pretty.
First one?
First bull with a bow.
Nice.
Yeah. So he was ecstatic. I was ecstatic. Got to watch the whole thing. So, yeah, it was fun. Good
Then
time.
the work began.
Oh, yeah.
That is so much work.
Oh, man, I'm telling you.
But one truck elk, one quad elk, and one 547 yards. So we did okay in that respect as far as hauling stuff out. In that unit, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, actually, whereabouts were you physically? Give me a landmark.
Anderson Mesa.
Nice.
Off the sides.
Off the north end?
Yeah, it's all good, but typically any of your north slopes will contain elk or springs. And there's a lot of little side canyons that'll give you north slopes, too.
There's a lot of places for those big buggers to hide up there.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Early on in the season, you'll see 300-inch bulls with cows, and then you think that's the herd bull. And a week or two later, he's a satellite bull because here comes the big boy in to take over the herd.
Not only that, he's had a few tines busted off because he's gotten his butt kicked.
Yeah.
So
saw that a lot this year.
Yeah, the one I put down last year, man, I don't know if he was that tough or just an idiot. He had one horn, whole side snapped off, and pieces of hide and hair missing, and I don't think he was that good of a fighter, personally.
I mean, they'll kill each other. They'll do whatever. They get after it.
There's nothing more impressive than the sound of two bulls up close fighting, where they're just snapping trees and kicking the crap out of each other, and they are just mad.
Yeah.
Power. I mean, you're looking at 1,500 pounds between the two of them, just knocking the snot out of each other.
Yeah, that's like 200-mile-an-hour closure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, bang. All righty, having said that, we're going to stand down. Thanks some of our sponsors. When we come back, more about Joey's hunt, and I'm sure we're going to hear some more about John's hunt.
Gee, what a concept.
We'll be right back. All righty, we're back. In the past couple of weeks, Arizona Game and Fish Department has engaged where the U.S. Force or
Fish and Wildlife.
Fish and Wildlife, yeah, those guys. They're bypassing Arizona and not having any public meetings relative to the wolf recovery. On the 23rd, there was a meeting up at Payson. On the 24th, one down in Tucson at Berkeley South, let's call it. Correct. And then another one up in Pine Top. Did you hear how the Pine Top meeting went?
Yeah, the Pine Top meeting was similar to the one in Tucson. There were roughly 45 people or so on the first meeting. The second meeting was very lightly attended, like only 3 or 4 people.
What was the mood of the first meeting?
The one in Payson or the one?
No, the one at, I want to talk about Payson. That deserves its own discussion. No,
it does.
Pine Top and Tucson.
Pine Top and Tucson was split. There are always people who feel that there should be more wolves. And obviously in Berkeley South, that's going to happen because that's the home for the Center for Biological Diversity. Sierra Club was in attendance, as was anybody who's liberal. So,
DOW.
Yeah, but they did have some ranchers there. The hunting community was strangely a little more absent than I would have thought, but they must have figured what the meeting was good, the tenor of the meeting would have been. And then there were some split decisions up in Pine Top, which surprised me too.
Pine Top, how many folks were there?
Roughly 45.
That should have been heavily attended by the Springerville folks, I would have thought.
I think the Springerville folks already knew everything that needed to be known about what their options were in terms of commenting on the proposed changes.
Well, I'm sure they do, but, Sherry Barrett engaged in Payson, which I thought to be a bit odd.
She went to every one of them.
Yeah, but I didn't expect there to be any representation. And then your girlfriend Sandy Barr was up there as well.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Ex-girlfriend?
Excuse me?
Yeah, okay. You never met her before.
No, Sandy and I have had many disagreeable comments to each other. There was one issue that I worked on with her, which was the OHV regulations. And as my mama once said, if you can't say anything nice about somebody, don't say anything at all. So that's all I'm going to say.
Okay, well, what I find curious is the Arizona Republic.
Oh, you mean Sandy's personal call-in and write up anything she wants?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about that? How's that getting done? What's behind the motive of the Arizona Republic? Personally, I quit taking the paper a long time ago. They're very selective on what they print.
Oh.
It's tainted.
Painted.
To a leftist degree.
Yeah, think? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she attended the meeting. This morning's paper, there was a little...
She gets anytime Sandy
editorial.
wants to send in anything, she has carte blanche to make a comment. The conservation community, anybody else entitled to land users, whether it's the ranching community, whether it's anybody else, we have to claw, fight, scream, bitch, and do anything under the sun to get a comment into the Republic. Sandy has carte blanche to do whatever she wants. That's why I quit taking it. You know, it makes no sense.
You take the Republic?
Not anymore.
No.
You see any wolves?
No, I did not see.
Did you hear any?
I did not.
I heard a whole lot of coyotes, but I didn't hear any howling wolves.
Yeah.
But I was right there where they are. I mean, they certainly are on the White Mountain out in Apache Drive.
Well, maybe they're smarter than we give them credit for. You know, if there's hunters in the woods, be quiet.
You know what? My son, who was not familiar with the differences between what goes on the res versus what goes on public lands, he came out for that hunt with me. And I have never seen a man more frustrated than my 33-year-old son.
Why is that?
Well, opening morning, bulls screaming all around us. He just didn't happen to realize where we were. I knew where we were. He didn't. He was just following Dad. And he's hearing all this screaming. And he goes, oh, listen to that. Listen to that growler. Oh, my God. He's huge. He's huge. And first sunlight comes up, first gray light, and I'm glassing. And I go, yep, there he is. He looks and he goes, oh, wow. How big is he? How big is he? And I'm looking at him going, got to be 380. Easy 380. He's just enormous. The bases, everything's long. He's wide. He goes, call him. I'm calling. And he's answering. He's screaming his guts out. He goes, let's go get him. I said, you see that fence over there?
Uh-oh.
I said, he's about 80 yards over the other side of that fence, and I'll guarantee you he's not going to come. We put up the decoy. He screamed. He came down the hill a little bit, but he had cows with him.
Yeah, game over.
Not happening. And there every day thereafter, the 3 days that my son was in town, we'd go along the 300 road. Big, huge screams coming from the south side, chirping from the north side. Not a thing. You couldn't hear a peep. And once in a while you'd hear a bugle, but they would be off in the distance. But it was like cordwood stacked along the 300 road. Every side, on the opposite side of the fence, on the reservation, they were just screaming.
How active was your unit?
No, horrible. Very, very spotty. You know, now we were hunting the lower end of it, so I haven't talked much with guys that hunted up on top. I get down in the junipers, and hopefully them guys up on top push me a lot of nice bulls.
Sure.
I got a question for you. When did the chainsaw manufacturers put headlights on their chainsaws? Has anybody heard this? Or
what are you talking about?
Well, 5 o'clock in the morning chainsaws
are
going from the woodcutter, so they're cutting it dark. I figured they put headlights on the things.
Yeah.
You know, here's the deal, and I stopped in at the Apache Sitgreaves National Forest to ask them what the hell was going on. And she said, we apologize. We know what's going on. Wood cutting permits expired October 1st. And anybody who hadn't filled their quota was out in force. And those guys were messing up more hunts than you could possibly believe.
Unbelievable. And, I realize they're out there. It's a job for them. They're trying to make a living.
But they have all damn summer to do that. Come on.
They do. But these guys are making a living doing it. And they're pulling out in prestigious burn areas in 5B North, where they are allowed to drive anywhere they want to. We are not allowed to get off that road even for game retrieval. Now, come on, something's wrong here.
Oh, you should see all the roads I saw that they've created because they want to go, and they're allowed to go get down firewood. I was this close to going and buying a permit for 5 days so that I could drive anywhere I wanted to drive.
I told you I'd bring the M35, a chainsaw, and the wood permit up.
Wouldn't that have been cool?
Well, yeah.
We could have. There's so much still down. I mean, this is 12 years after Rodeo Chetaskai. There's still down wood up there. And they're going after the oak. Obviously, the ponderosa pines disintegrated pretty much, and it's just a bunch of deadfalls. But there's still some oak up there. And these guys are driving everywhere to get to them.
Now, what I saw this year is they were out in the burns. I had a conversation with a gentleman up in Flagstaff with Coconino National Forest, and I told him what had been going on.
Is it a private citizen, or you're talking to some type of an official?
Oh, an official, yes, for Coconino National Forest. And I told him what I had seen up in 5B North, and you know what? We actually had some officers show up, and they were patrolling out there and checking all the woodcutters for overcutting and where they were cutting. So they were out on the burn this year, but that changes the natural flow of what the elk do. You fire up chainsaws at 5 o'clock in the morning, that's an alarm clock for the it's time to get out of here. So,
and they do it. That was one of the other things. There's one particular burn where I've chased the same bull for 3 years. And my sons and I, we went out on a point, we called, and back to the south of us came this huge growler. And I know that call because I've listened to him for 3 years in a row. And I said, jump in the truck. We got to go now. He's going, wait a minute. He's down. He's over there. And I said, I know where he's going. Get in. Too late. 1 minute. We missed him by 1 minute.
Wow. Gee, I wish I'd have had an elk tag this year.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, that's right. He didn't have an elk tag, did he? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Don.
Oh, well. Hey, we're going to thank some of our sponsors. If you're looking for a pre-owned vehicle or a brand new one, I-17 West Camelback Road. Yep. Bill Luke Dodge.
Build us a little campfire.
Okay, what's up with that?
You know, some things I just don't want to know about. All righty, we're back. It's like some type of biological warfare going on in the production room.
Yeah, or either that or we are contaminated and she's not having any of it.
That may be the case. Joy, you were mentioning some of the other elk hunters, and we're going to offer up some elk hunting tips. What exactly what road are you going down?
Well, I mean, I see a lot of young hunters or hunters that, I don't know, maybe they don't get out a lot. I'm up in that area almost every year. Either a friend gets drawn for the archery season, whether it be early or late, or the rifle season, or maybe even a cow hunt, and I'll go up there and help somebody. But I see a lot of, and a lot of it younger guys that are, you know, they get frustrated, they don't know how to do it properly, and it's just something you got to use all your senses. You got to use your eyes, your nose, your ears, you know, are critical.
A little bit too much exuberance.
Could be. An example would be my brother-in-law's elk, and he's hunted. He's a fairly new archery hunter, and it was his first elk hunt, and he was with me, and we were going up the side of Anderson Mesa, and we ran into a guy cow calling, so we switched directions, headed west. And the first thing I smelled elk, and I knew it was not a bedding area. It was a quick whiff, so I know these elk were moving. Now, what they were, I didn't know for sure. But I was telling him about it, and he says, well, how do you know they're moving? And I said, well, you know, you just know. I mean, that scent hit me, and anyway, we moved up, we did some cow calling. Nothing happened. We didn't get any responses. And I said, okay, now we're going to move down. I said, if I was those elk, here's a direction I'd move in. And you don't know for sure. I mean, it's all, you know, an educated guess.
Educated guess, yes, of course.
But as we were traveling down in between these two ridge lines, I picked up fresh tracks, and I pointed it to him and said, this is very fresh. This is within the last 20 minutes or so. Well, how do you know that? And I said, you know, you just learn.
Yeah.
After you see thousands and thousands of it, you learn. But 2 minutes later, we're standing there with 2 6x6s standing in front of me.
Oops.
So the educated guesses do works. You know, it's just going to give you better opportunity. And a lot of guys push it hard. You know, they walking too fast. You just got to take your time and listen and do a better job of hunting, basically.
I think that's one of the key things is to, you know, it's like fishing. When you think you're going slow, cut that in half.
Yeah.
How long does it take you to cover 100 yards?
Depends what I'm doing, because
sneaking through the woods.
If you got a screaming bull, you're trying. Yeah. Well, if you're still hunting, I mean, you're taking a couple steps, you're stopping, you're listening, and that's what still hunting is. You know, you're moving very slow. 1 or 2 steps and you stop and listen. 1 or 2 steps, you stop and listen. Elk hunting can be different, especially archery, when you got screaming bulls. You're trying to get on that bull, and sometimes in the morning,
absolutely.
you can
You're
walk.
booking.
Yeah, you can walk.
I found that if you run as fast as you possibly can sometimes and you're crashing, they think it's another bull. Yeah, but if you're anything in visible range, you better be going slow, and then slower.
And the bottom line is, when you're chasing a bugling bull and the cows are pushing the bull, typically the one thing you hate to backdoor anything, you'd rather loop them, but the bottom line is that bull is typically at the back of the herd anyway. So when you do get into them, you might get an opportunity, that way. But sooner or later, they will slow down. You have to have, persistence is also key. You cannot give up. I mean, this was, if there was ever a time I wanted to give up after the wind screwed me over 4 different times on the last,
circle up there, doesn't it?
On the last evening hunt, and one more go with 20 minutes left, and this bull made a mistake. He actually fed into me within 7 yards.
Thunk.
That's I love that.
Could not pull my bow back. He was head on, and then his nose come up in the air.
Uh-oh.
This time I let loose of the release and grabbed my cow call, and when he pivoted, I hit it. It stopped him. He turned to the left, and I had to shoot through a little bit of a thicket, but I found an opening and stuck him hard. So, just one of those things. I mean, trust me, there was a time or two I said, I'm done. I'm just done. But persistence pays off also.
We found that too. I mean, there was one morning where we went out and the winds were blowing really hard out of the south, and they were at least 35 knots. And we decided just to place, just for, fits and giggles. It was later in the morning. It was like 10 o'clock, and we started stalking. Just walking through an area that I knew was heavily used by elk. And we were pussyfooting, trying not to make a sound, wearing creepers, everything possible to do. And all of a sudden I go, there he is. And this huge spike, but he's just walking ahead and he's grazing. But he, head up, eat, head up, eat. And then we'd hear a bugle and his head would pop up again. We followed him for about 100 yards. We were right behind him. He had no clue. None. Every time he put his head down, we'd take a step or two. And then we'd get closer and closer to him. It was just funny watching a young bull, not oblivious to the world. Pardon?
How close?
60 yards. Just having fun with him. It's always that way up there.
How close do you have to be in order to hit him?
Oh, I could have shot him at that 60-yard. There were a couple times he turned broadside. He was along a fence line and was wide open. We were just inside of it.
John historically likes to get within 10 or 12 feet.
That works for me.
I would say my average shot in 5B North is right around 20 yards.
Close enough.
But it's thick juniper, so you don't have much of a choice.
That's like playing peekaboo or tag with these guys, depending on some of those areas, with the height of the junipers and the thickness. You can follow them around in there for days and not get a shot. In
98, I was still shooting instinctive, fingers and no sights. And Valerie was with me. I had run into a bear the day before, and she got all excited, and she wanted to see some animals. And I said, well, come out with me in the morning.
She didn't figure out you were greasing her hunting boots with bacon.
Anyway,
you need to check that.
I told her we were
going. I know this guy. Come on, honey, let's go hunting. Nice.
Put these antlers on. It'll work. You're a decoy.
I told her we were heading to this little ridge line, wasn't very tall, and we were going to stay there because there was a monster bull in there the day before in the morning. Anyway, we got to there, and bull started screaming well up above us, and I said, come on, let's go. And she said, well, what about staying on this little ridge line like you originally planned? I said, well, screaming bulls can change anything. But anyway, we got after this bull, and we had to do a little bit of running, and we got set up behind this giant pine tree with the elk coming right at us.
Ooh.
When I went to pull back my bow, she was so far around the tree to watch all this that my elbow was hitting her. I'm like, get out of the way.
Dear, yeah.
I mean,
please.
I literally had to, push my elbow back to get my bow back, because she's hanging around that tree, but she got to watch the whole thing, picked a nice little opening and zapped this bull. He went 75 yards, and I heard him crash. I said, he's down. She, what? He's what? I said, he's down. It's over.
He's not going any further. Game's over.
So, but that was pretty cool. I mean, it excites people to see that. And
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So,
I had this year was the first time that I ever had to run a bull down. Mine was crippled, and after 2.5 miles of tracking, and that was by far the best tracking job that I've ever done. There were 3 of us, and the blood spots got to be, just less than the size of a dime, or just spots, and you'd see one every 10 feet. And that we were almost to the point of giving up, and then all of a sudden we'd find a spot where he'd bedded down, and there was a pool of blood, and I knew, we just had to keep on him. But the 3 of us, 2.5 miles before we finally caught him, I saw him get up to start to run. I knew his leg was gone, and I just took off on a run. And I actually got to the point where I was running after him, ran him down. He bedded down. He was so tired, and that's when I was able to put another arrow in at 20 yards.
Excellent. That's persistence right there.
Yeah.
A lot of guys would have given up.
No, you have to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that bull, the thought runs through your head of, doing the game survey. Did you shoot an animal you were unable to retrieve? And I never ever want to do that. So we were able to, thanks to both Dave and to Carl. The 3 of us, it took 3 of us, because one person would stand on the last spot of blood, and the other 2 would fan out when it got real tight, and we'd find it, and then we'd jump to the next spot, and we were leapfrogging all the way out. And then, finally we got to by pushing him as hard as we did, he kept moving, and he kept on bleeding. And we found little chunks of white tissue, which we thought were lungs initially, and it wasn't. It was just flesh. That was, he was grinding himself while he was moving, and that's when it popped it out.
Well, we had, the elk guys just didn't want us to get this elk. It was pretty amazing. But.
Yeah, the elk god sometimes talks to the fish god. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
all
we
right,
understand that one.
We're going to stand down when we come back. We'll wrap this up, talk a little bit more about elk issues, and then roll into roll call for September 28th. I'm Don McDowell.
John Colazar.
Joe Nocta.
Woohoo, we'll be back.
The other day, I headed into town.
All righty, we're back. I have to tell you, the Dina Preston band is back from Hungary.
Oh, did they bring chickens?
There was a discussion on Friday about that. Your name came up, and
of course,
so the chickens, women and children, tambourines, the whole deal. Those good stuff. Joy, I have to ask you, how's Glenn Sheldon working out over there?
Oh, Glenn does his thing.
That guy is awesome. I'm telling you what. I was about ready to throw that bow of mine in the trash. And, man, his tune-up on that is...
No, he is very, very particular about what he does. He's just an awesome bow tech, and I'm glad he's back in the mix. When he had Wild West Archery, that's the only place I took my bows to.
Boy, that's going back a while.
Yeah, well, he got out of the game. At one point, Glenn was Hoyt Salesman of the Year nationwide. His shop was doing well, and I had sometimes stuff grows old, and I know the hours he was putting in there, and we made a different deal where he wouldn't have to do those kind of hours, and
things do grow old.
Yeah. So I think what Glenn really likes to do is he likes to work on bows, and that's what we're doing, and we're really gearing more for next season, not so much this season.
No, he was busy. I spend a lot of time up at your shop, and just curious to see the evolution that you've had up there, the success. Not only with the firearms, the consignment thing was kind of a neat idea, but you're bringing back a legend into the sport, and technology in archery, like everything else, has changed to the point that you have to stay up on it.
Oh, definitely, yeah, and he does, and the mechanics are very similar. You might have a different, new cam designs. I don't think when Glenn closed his shop down, they had gone to parallel limbs, and which
probably not.
Yeah,
but I mean that took him. At somebody like Glenn, that's minutes. He looks at it and goes, "Oh, okay, yeah, here, need to do this."
Yeah.
I mean, he's just that type. He knows it so thoroughly.
Well, he's so matter of fact and to the point. He looked at me and said, "You want to do what? What for?" "I'm going to do this." "Get out of here." Okay.
Yeah, yep. It's pretty much that way. And when Glenn shut the shop down, three of us went in on, two other buddies and myself went in on bow presses and everything we needed to do our own work. And we learned to work on our bows. And I thought we had a pretty good handle on them. We're doing our own timing, tuning. And so I showed Glenn one of the bows, and he's like, well, he goes, your cam timing ain't too bad. Your tiller distance is on. But what about this? And I said, okay, God, I'm glad you're back, Glenn.
Nice. What bow do you shoot?
I shoot Hoyt.
Hoyt.
Okay.
There's a reason why.
Okay, I give up why. Why is your Hoyt better than my Bear?
Well, I've shot Hoyt since '86, and I've never had a failure with any of my Hoyt bows. I don't care what model it was. Hoyt still is the number one manufacturer. There will be a lot of guys that disagree, and especially the Matthews guys.
Folks will say something about that.
Well, it's like Ford versus Chevy.
Yeah.
Come on.
Bottom line is, you get a bow that works and you get good with it. That's the most important thing.
It's like any tool.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
For me, I shot PSE for the longest time because that's what I bought.
That's
way
what
back
I started
when.
with was PSE. Yeah.
And then when Gary Machinsky started throwing away his bows because he was frustrated with them, and they all happened to be left-hand shooters, and they all happened to be something I could convert to, and he said, "Here, I don't want it anymore. It won't shoot straight." I said, "Fine, I'll take it." That's why I have a Hoyt now.
My first bow was a Carroll compound 4-wheeler.
Good grief.
Mine was a Bear white-tailed too. But that goes back to the
that was a horrible
dark ages.
bow.
Yeah. No kidding. When it got cold, that conducted cold better than anything I've ever known.
What was the one PSC before the laser came out? It'd be mid-'70s.
Oh, I didn't touch them then. I was locked in that Bear.
Yeah.
Good Lord, that thing weighed 75 pounds.
The compounds today are half the size of the ones we started with.
Oh, yeah, and half the weight.
Exactly.
Oh, there was some crazy designs. There was that one had a recurve limb on top and a giant cam on the bottom. And we called it a monkey, never mind.
Monkey, never mind.
Yeah.
It's something about a football.
I get that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
So what do you recommend to elk hunter, a newbie wanting to get in the sport?
Read.
Call
Game and Fish. Ask them where the best spots are. You know what? They'll help you out. They'll put you.
Don't mention my name. Yeah.
You know what, Joey? I would say that here's the other thing. Number one is go up to the highest point you can find in an area and sit on your butt and take some good optics and just watch.
Glass.
And then before the season, go
scout.
walking. Just very slow walking. When you see an elk, just try and figure out why they move, how they move. With them not knowing that you're there, watch them. Watch how they move. I always feel like after a week in the woods, you're into the flow that they're into. When we come in from the city to the woods, we're not in that. But after you've spent some time, you understand why they're going, where they're going. You get a feel for it. You become part of it rather than the interloper that we typically are the rest of the year.
You have to learn your areas, and I tell you one of the best ways to do it. There's a website, Acme Mapper 2.0.
Shh. Stop.
Everybody knows about it because I tell them about it.
Not everybody.
Well, they do now. If you want to learn an area, this is a great way to get it done.
It is.
And it gives you 5 different map sources. Wherever your crosshairs are, man, you can just punch a different. Do I want a topo? Do I want...
Yeah.
Anyway.
I like the hybrid.
The hybrid, yeah, is very nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so if it's a new area, that's how you start out. You got to learn the road systems and where you need to be. Just like JK said, man, get a high spot and start glassing. Some areas are suitable for that, some aren't. You get burn areas like 3C, burn areas in 5B North. Yeah, you can glass the heck out of those spots.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot to it, but you got to get involved, and that's persistence. A lot of guys don't want to scout.
Pre-fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't spend the time.
Yeah.
You're not going to get it done.
It's like that on the lakes.
Yep.
It's all connected. We'll pick this up when we come back at the top of the hour. Right now, I want to start in on roll call for September 28th. But you've heard we've lost 148 or 149 resident soldiers, and I want to throw a shout out to Brian Wakeling from Arizona Game and Fish. His son Seth is in theater, and last week stepped on an IED and has lost a foot and a portion of his leg. And our thoughts and prayers certainly go out to Seth and Brian and his family. For this past week, the following died as a result of the MH-60S Nighthawk helicopter crash while operating in the Central Red Sea. And the first was Navy Chief Warrant Officer Jonathan S. Gibson, died September 22nd, serving during Operation Enduring Freedom, 32 years old, of Aurora, Oregon, assigned to the Helicopter Sea Combat Squadron 6 at Naval Air Station North Island, San Diego.
Navy Lieutenant Commander Landon L. Jones died September 22nd, 2013, serving during Operation Enduring Freedom. He was 35 years old of Lompoc, California, assigned to the Helicopter Sea Combat Squadron 6 at Naval Air Station North Island, San Diego, California.
The next 5 soldiers all died at a forward operating base, Shank, Afghanistan, of wounds suffered while enemy forces attacked their unit with small arms fire while they were conducting range training at Gardez, Paktia province in Afghanistan. The first soldier, Army Staff Sergeant Timothy R. McGill, died on the 21st of September, serving during Operation Enduring Freedom, 30 years old of Ramsey, New Jersey, assigned to the 2nd Battalion, 19th Special Forces Group, Middleton, Rhode Island.
Army Staff Sergeant Liam J. Nevins died September 21st, 2013, serving during Operation Enduring Freedom. He was 32 of Denver, Colorado, assigned to the 5th Battalion, 19th Special Forces Group out of Watkins, Colorado.
Army Specialist Joshua J. Strickland died also on September 21st, 23 years old of Woodstock, Georgia, assigned to 1st Battalion, 1st Special Forces Group, Joint Base Lewis McChord, Washington.
Army Specialist James T. Wycliffe Chasen died September 20th, 2013, serving during Operation Enduring Freedom. He was 22 of Edmond, Oklahoma, assigned to the 6th Squadron, 8th Cavalry Regiment, 4th Brigade Combat Team, Fort Stewart, Georgia. He died at the Brooke Army Medical Center in San Antonio, Texas, of injuries sustained when an improvised explosive device detonated during his dismounted patrol during combat operations in Polalala, Afghanistan, on August the 12th.
And Army Sergeant William D. Brown III died September 19th, serving during Operation Enduring Freedom, 44 years out of Franklin, New Jersey, and was assigned to the 10th Mountain Division. Give them a thought in your prayers.
Shake, rattle, and roll. Shake, rattle, and roll. Yeah, kiss the weapon off. Rabbit every home. Me and the boys gonna shake, rattle, and roll.
It's time for Shake, Rattle, and Troll, a show for the serious fishermen, as well as the novice looking for tips from the pros. Shake, Rattle, and Troll is brought to you by Bill Luke Dodge Chrysler Jeep. Now, here's your host, saltwater fisherman and tournament pro, Don McDowell.
Yeah, hey, we're back. Thanks for joining the second hour of Shake, Rattle, and Troll. In-house with us is Joey Nacha. Hunted the world, certainly an expert on elk hunting and the art of harvesting the warthog. Nice. And JK done an outstanding job. We'll put you in the expert category.
Oh, gee, thanks.
As well. And you lend a lot to hunting efforts, glassing. You know, you guys were talking about glassing, and since you and I have been hanging out together, my optics have been upgraded, and I can't really emphasize how important that truly is.
You know, the funny thing is I've watched people who are what I call the walkers, and I'll be sitting up on top of a high ridge, glassing a big burn. And last year was funny because we watched 2 hunters come in and walk. And I watched the buck pop up, head across the other ridge. They were 200 yards away, had no clue that animal was ever there. They may have cut the track if they were bright enough to look down, but but they never saw that buck, and he was long gone before they were within 200 yards of him. That happens a lot.
The earlier conversation we had about the Arizona Republic, there's a little blurb in there today from Sandy Barr, the Sierra Club Grand Canyon chapter, let's say. I find it interesting they would publish that and ignore James Guggenhauer did a little editorial of his own sent into the Republic on the Payson
meeting.
Yeah.
There was a lot of emotion at that meeting.
You know, there was, and I found it curious. Sandy Barr chose a seat right in the middle of some angry cattlemen.
Well, she never made a comment during the whole time, though.
She didn't dare.
No. Oh, God, no.
That had a rope. Big, long rope.
You know, I don't think...
Sandy on a rope. Think about it.
It's like soap on a rope?
No.
Soap on a rope. Pope on a rope. Whatever.
No, she was... Sandy is the consummate political operative. She knows all the players in the state. She has instant access to the media anytime she wants it. She gets it, and she does a good job with what she does. I envy the political clout that they have. The media carries everything, and then it's dispersed to the public as gospel, and it's not. And they only see one side, and that's the Sandy Barr side, which I think is flagrantly wrong.
They're not looking at the whole thing, and we've talked about this. Joy, one of the things I'm kind of hung up on now is conservation is truly a byproduct of recreation. That's us. We hunt, we fish, we buy stuff. We're taxed. Pittman Robinson money's out there, and
as is Dingle Johnson.
Yeah. And, you know, the antis, some of them like to engage in bird watching and hiking and doing this and that. They wouldn't be able to do that if we didn't do what we do.
I think if you took a survey or if you went out and counted how many campers, outdoor enthusiasts that don't hunt versus the people that do hunt, I think it's tenfold in the hunter's favor, but yet they're getting anything they want or trying to get anything they want, you know. I mean, a lot of people do camp that don't hunt, but I'm telling you, overall, I think if you did a survey, you would find out that most of the people in that woods are hunters, fishermen, you know, for the most part. And sometimes it doesn't feel like we're getting heard, you know.
Oh, no, that's a fact.
Yeah.
We are not being heard.
I think we're outnumbered 100 to 1 on comments. Comment period. We make one comment and there's 100.
And what hunters don't realize is just for the sake of numbers, say 15% of the population or 20% of the population hunts and fishes. There's 20% that hates that, doesn't want any of that. That leaves a whole pile. The biggest majority sitting out there right now are people that are sitting the fence, and they don't have an opinion one way or the other. Those are the people we have to get to.
Well, they're the one that's paying for it. And J.K., I'm not really up to speed totally on Jim Beers.
You should be.
I read. The more I read, the more digging you have to do. Give me a thumbnail on the corruption that Jim Beers uncovered.
Jim Beers worked for the Fish and Wildlife Service out of Washington. He knew the wolf program intimately. He was aware and became very aware of the fact that the Pittman Robinson money is supposed to be used for wildlife and habitat, and according to all accounts, specifically his, between $45 and $75 million was misappropriated to be used for bringing the Canadian gray wolves into the United States and running the program. There is no way an endangered species should have been using Pittman Robinson money. That's geared and designed for what we do, not for endangered species reestablishment. And basically he went on a 3-year muzzle where they told him he could not say one word, couldn't talk, couldn't do anything. He almost lost his job, only fortunately because he had a few friends left within the agency that he was able to stay away from work on a day where they had basically set him up to be fired. He stayed away on advice of his attorney, and the comments that he had, he was able to maintain his position for 3 years. They paid him off, basically. And he was most worried about his family and health care, et cetera, all those things that we all are very aware of. And after the period of time that it was either 3 or 5 years, he was not allowed to comment.
I think it was 3.
Yeah. After the 3-year comment period, he showed up in Bozeman, Montana, and exposed what he knew, which was some of the biggest lies that had ever gone on. He then took the time, during that time when he was off, to recreate the history of the Endangered Species Act, as well as what led up to the infiltration by not conservationists, but rather environmentalists into Fish and Wildlife Services, and how they have degraded the system and gotten to the point which is they do not want consumers of wildlife out there. They want it just to be left alone. And the wolf is one particular predator that can outdo the hunting community. And Yellowstone Park was a perfect example, where they brought in one pack of 15 animals, or 8 to 15 animals, I can't remember which for sure. But those animals exploded to a population of over 275 animals in the Yellowstone Park.
I had heard 374.
Could be. But what happened was, it's like anything else. They had a magnificent prey base with the 21,000 plus elk that were in the Yellowstone herd at that time. And as they began to grow, the herd size began to decline. And if you go to the final environmental impact statement, which I've read several times, the Fish and Wildlife claimed that there would be no less than 5% nor more than 30% of that elk herd being utilized as a prey base for wolves. The last census, which I keep track of every February when the results come out, pointed that this year from 21,000 animals, we're below 4,000 animals in the Yellowstone elk herd. Same thing happened to the Lolo herd up in Idaho. It's been wiped out. It's been wiped out by wolves. Wolves consequently also went through a period of time where they have diseases. I think it's over 30 known diseases that they spread.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
And it affects elk. It affects humans. It will kill us if we contract it. So that's what's not being told by anybody to the press, because they want these lovable family items to be out there taking our place. And they do.
Well, I think what we're going to do this afternoon is download some of that information or put some links up on our website to go to their website. And, we need to start getting this particular story in the public.
Somebody's got to do it, Don, and this is one of the avenues that we can, because certainly the press, as we know it, the left-wing liberal press in Arizona will never carry that story.
Yeah, anytime you get that much money in a pool and you get the fingers in it, it starts going south.
Well, as somebody once said, 50 million here, 50 million there, pretty soon you're starting to talk some serious money.
And we are. We're talking, somewhere between $30 and $50 million on the Mexican gray wolf issue, 102 to 130 million on gray wolves. We're going backwards here. So,
Thank you, George.
Having said that, when we come back, we'll have to talk about fishing a little bit. I'm Don McDowell with
George Strait.
Excuse me. Who do you want to be, Willie Nelson?
No, I'm Joe. This was George Strait over here.
Okay.
Joe knocked it.
Thank you. Woohoo! All righty. Hey, we're back. We're going to change gears, get off the wolf for a few minutes, and leave the elk alone and go to downtown H&M Landing over to San Diego with our buddy Ricky over the tackle shop. Rick, what's happening?
Hey, Don. Tuner biting as good as ever.
Let me
the weather we had this weekend put things down a little bit, but
yeah, but it was still good.
Oh yeah, still, boats are coming in today with a lot of nice fish.
Let me ask you about the skipjack. I'm looking at the Malahini. It looks like they had four of those little skippies on the 3/4 day. Any thoughts of the day or the half-day boats pulling in any? I don't see them on the report.
Oh no, those skippies, they're as much a pelagic fish as the yellowfin and things like that.
Okay.
You know, they always stay way offshore. They're usually the last fish to show up. And right, and a lot of times when you see a lot of those starting to show up, you go, oh well, it's over.
Well, that's I know that. That's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah, but not many of them showing up. Just one or two here and there. There's still a lot of bluefin down there. I know the boats that were down there yesterday were just whacking them. Ocean Odyssey just came back. They were on a 2.5 day, and they got 210 yellowfin, 250 yellowtail, 20 dorado. Just good fishing. Lots of guys were getting those bluefin up to 60 to 80 pounds.
Oh.
You know, Joanna had limits in 10 yellowtail. Not that the yellowtail aren't around still. It's just when the bluefin are biting, people aren't going to worry about that too much.
Well, absolutely. Well, it's interesting. The Malahini boat had 29 yellowtail and a couple of dorados with 43 anglers, and then
right.
Well,
they're going a lot shorter, you know.
Yeah, they do. That's hop, skip, and a jump down there. How far are the day and a half boats having to run?
You know, there's been a lot of fishing about 80 miles.
Nice.
60 to 80 miles has been quite a good bluefin run here the last few days. So that's one day range. I know yesterday, or day before yesterday, when I first came back, one of the one day boats called in about 8:30. They already had 60 bluefin on the boat. So it's good fishing. It was kind of nasty weather, but that's getting better right now, so I just expect more and more fish in the next few days. It's going to be very good.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's like hunting in the rain. It's all good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but it's been really good fishing here lately. Just all year. It's just been so steady, so nice for a change.
What seems to be the most productive prominent bait?
You know, sardines is what's been working just fine, but I'll tell you what, if you're going to drop a little blue and chrome jig or a mega bait or P-line magic minnow type of a thing, those will keep you away from playing around the bait tank, and they'll get you quite a few more fish. I know a buddy of mine got 9 fish in probably 9 casts the other day.
Nice.
9 bluefin and 9 casts, and didn't have to run to the bait tank and drop bait and run back and try again.
That'll make a man out of you right there.
Oh, yeah. So much more fun.
9 bluefin and 9 casts.
Yeah. Yep. They're not the big 60-pounders. They're all 15 to 25-pound fish, but still, that's good fishing.
That's over 200 pounds of fish the last time my calculator worked.
That's worth about 4 weeks at the gym on upper body workout.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, hoorah. Yeah.
Good fishing.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. How long do you anticipate these fish holding? I know it's a loaded question.
I wouldn't be surprised if they hang around through October.
Nice.
All signs are leading that way. You know, it just kind of depends on how many fronts we get coming through. If they're going to blow that cold water down here. We even caught some albacore the other day, believe it or not.
I didn't hear that. Where were they?
Spirit Adventure came in with 4 of them, and he said he saw more when he was coming up the hill, coming on the way home. They have a kind of a distinctive mark on the meter compared to the bluefin and other things. And he's saying, yeah, we pulled on one, got a jig strike, got 4 out of it, and then saw a few more on the way home when everybody stopped fishing already. So there's still a few of those around here. I don't know if that cold front pushed a few down. They're going, what are we doing here? But there's still a chance for that. Wouldn't that be a big surprise? Have that cold water blow down here and we'll start catching albacore down here in November.
Nice. Well, stranger things have happened.
Yeah, I'm ready for them. I like strange things like that.
All righty, man. Hey, we'll look forward to seeing you next week. You get to back to work on Wednesday, right?
On Thursday. You coming down?
Sure planning on it. All the stuff's been oiled and truck's loaded.
Very nice. It's a lot more fun catching them than talking to other people who do, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I got to sit here and listen to these 2 knuckleheads that had elk tags.
All right, if any of your guests want to, or any of your listeners want to come on down, give us a call at 619-222-1144. Still plenty of room, especially during the week. Weekends are filling up pretty fast, and or they can go online at hmlanding.com.
That's exactly what I was going to tell them, but nice job.
Beat you to it, huh?
All right, brother. Hey, man, we'll see you next week. Rick, check him out at hmlanding.com, or again, the phone number 619-222-1144. Are you packed?
Negative on that, Ghost Rider.
How
You
long,
are.
How long will it take you to get packed?
About 28 minutes.
Good. Be at my house at midnight Tuesday.
Locked and loaded.
Yep. Do you get out to go fishing?
Yeah.
I know you have in the past, but when's the last time you went out?
Wow. You mean tuna fishing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Been a while.
You
There are bow fishing opportunities.
I had a good friend, very good friend, still have a good friend, that had a big boat down in San Carlos. And, I got to partake,
Nice.
Yeah, we were a couple, 2-3 times a year, and of course he had a pretty good business going. He's taking employees down.
Nice.
And beautiful boat. It was the Bill Busters. Had the first dock slip at the old marina in San Carlos. So loading was easy. I mean, just run down there, jump in that big old boat, and it was fantastic. I mean, we caught everything. I mean, sails, marlin, yellowfin, yellowtail,
Nice.
depending on what time of year. Dorado, like you wouldn't believe. I even caught a 65-pound wahoo out of that.
Nice. Oh,
So, yeah, we had great times down
catching
there.
a wahoo is such a treat. Excellent table fare, but they're one of the fastest fish in the ocean. They'll take your bait about 45 miles an hour, come up out of the water like a ballistic missile, and and you can't feel them.
Can I
you're
mention a name? The boat owner?
Yeah.
Rick McLaughlin and I were the last two watching the poles. The girls had gone up on the bow sunbathing, and Rick had enough, and he said, what?
Had enough of what? The sunbathing or fishing?
He said, I need a beer. So
I get it.
But
he
you
opens-
watching that one, your eyes would split. One's
this-
on the foredeck, one's in the back.
This is a 44-footer with a 16-foot beam, and he opens the
Nice.
Arcadia door and goes into the air-conditioned living room, and
That would be the salon.
and all of a sudden the outside outrigger pops and bang! And I'm the only one there, so guess who got to lay in that wahoo? And he come flying out, he goes, "What do you got?" And I said, "You know what? I don't know." I said, "That thing's running like a marlin." I said, "I don't think so, man. I have no clue what this fish is." And then he goes, "Is it?" You got the big reel on the outside, on the outriggers. And I'm reeling this thing in, and it felt like nothing, and all of a sudden that thing, I just wanted to spool it. Anyway, it ran several times, and
Come out of the water.
it did not come out of the water, and that's what fooled everybody.
Yeah,
And then
that's
another
pretty rare.
buddy was up in he was up on the flying bridge, looking down. He goes, "Although I've never seen one," he goes, "I've seen pictures, but it looks like a wahoo." And then I thought the boat captain was going to gaff all of us at once as he was racing because it was pretty rare. They don't catch that, maybe a dozen a year in that neck of the woods for wahoo. So he was down there with a gaff, and he's looking at me like, "Don't lose this fish."
Nice.
So he gaffed him, got him on board. But yeah, it was a great time. That boat was just awesome, man. Bill Busters, I think it's still down there. Or no. I think a long range outfit picked it up because this was an old Pacifica, which is a unbelievable rough water boat.
Yeah.
For little shorter trips, maybe not the 10-day or 15-dayers, but maybe some of the shorter.
They've got
stuff.
some interesting vessels down there. They have some converted shrimp boats.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. Not going on a shrimp boat.
Forrest.
No. That's a bad thing. All right. Hey, we're going to flip into a break. Again, thanks to some of our sponsors, especially Bill at Chrysler Jeep and Dodge, doing some good things over there. When we come back, James Guggenauer, get his take on the wolf meetings. I'm Don McDowell.
Joe Nocta.
John Colazar.
All righty, hey, we're going to go from San Diego to downtown Payson with our buddy James Guggenauer. Builds some awesome rods at Rim Country Custom Rod. And James, how are you today?
Hey, good morning, Don. Doing wonderful.
I want to thank you for all of the hard work that you and Dennis and your constituents there in Patient have put in on the Wolf Recovery meetings. You've done an excellent job. Any news from the Republic on printing your last editorial?
It is all quiet on those fronts. We sent that. It was a letter for your listeners' benefit. It was a letter that was kind of my interpretation of the game and fish meeting that was held about the Mexican gray wolf recovery program. And I sent it to a couple of newspapers, but I have yet to see it published, and I have yet to get a response.
Interesting. Are you going to be doing any follow-up with the Republic?
You know, what we're actually talking about here, and we'll keep this just between us and our listeners, is we may buy a full-page ad and just publish the letter.
In the Republic?
In the Republic and the Patient Roundup.
Whoa, the Republic's not cheap.
Well, people are, I think there's enough people that are serious about this and want to get the word out about what's going on. Because I heard your earlier conversation, J.K., that it seems like there's biased reporting here.
No. There's no seeming about it. It's a fact.
Right. So we're hoping we can do that.
Great.
Hey, let me give you some really great news before we leave. And I heard your conversation before about the soldiers, and most of the listeners, I know we've talked about our nephew, Nate Costa, who has been in Afghanistan just outside of Kabul for the past 7 months, and we heard this week he will be redeploying back to the U.S. on November 21st.
Nice.
So we're hoping to get him home before Thanksgiving. Remember, Nate's a medic over there, and he's already signed up for college and going to continue his college after he gets back on stateside.
Well, congrats.
Yeah, God love him. Tell him to keep his head down.
Yep, that's for sure. In fact, I talked to his mother just a little bit ago. She's listening in right now. So, Margie, our hearts are with you. We're glad you're going to get your son home.
Amen. That's all good stuff. How long has he been over there?
He's just over 7 months. And so it'll be a little over 9 months when he heads back stateside. They said from the time he leaves Afghanistan until he actually gets back to Fort Stewart, Georgia, will take 4 to 5 days.
Cool. All right, really good stuff. Happy to see him make it out of theater. That he bumps and bruises.
Yeah, hopefully. Hey, and then switching to the fishing report, because we got some good news there, too. The water level in Roosevelt Lake actually went up 1% this past week. It stands at 46% full. Salt River continues to flow at about 200% of its normal rate for this time of year. So some good water coming in on that end. The salt end is down to just barely flowing anymore. The water temperature on the lake continues to fall. We're calling it in the mid-70s to the mid-80s in the afternoon, and some baits are changing. You know, last couple of weeks we've been waiting for this morning topwater bite to kick off and last a little bit longer in the day. So we're hearing things like the Zora spoon, buzz baits, and even a frog were reported successful this past week. So that's all good news for the fall fishermen up there.
What color buzz baits?
White mostly. As the clearer the water, the lighter the bait. So, but you remember we were saying last week that bass still seem to be schooling out on main lake points, and that's what all the reports were. Well, it wasn't the next day or a couple of days later we started to get reports that those fish were dispersing to the backs of the coves and on flat. So, and that's typical in the fall. You're going to see them make that transition. And I really believe, it's just me thinking here, that the little drop in temperature just by a couple of degrees makes that big a difference to the fish, where they know it's time to move deeper into the coves.
Well, so next time you go down there, let me give you a little hint. We won't spend a lot of time on it. Tie on a black Cavatron with a black skirt and red hook on a buzzbait.
Ooh.
Black.
Well, that's a good one, Don. I hadn't heard that even from the pros.
Yeah, they're not going to tell you that.
Maybe that's it, huh? Do you think Clifford Perch is like clinching his fist?
I'm just saying. Okay.
Hey, a couple other things. We don't want to give up on the crankbaits. Lots of good reports on crankbaits. If you're fishing a Rapala kind of bait, it would be in the size of an SR7. The chrome colors with the black or the blue seem to be working pretty well. Pointers, Lucky Craft pointers, are always a good bait this time of year in the shallows. And lipless crankbaits running in 15 to 20 feet of water. I got good reports on those, too.
In G, James, would you throw a chrome with a black back or a chrome with a blue black?
If it were me, I'd be throwing chrome and black.
Now, one more question on the lipless. Do you like the orange dot under the chin?
I mean, I know a lot of those baits have them, but the one I like again is the chrome and the black.
Well, some of them have a little piece of orange on the chrome.
I know what you're talking about. In fact, a lot of them have those. But I don't know why. It's just when I'm fishing crankbaits, I'm thinking fast reaction. So I always go with high flash and then that little bit of color. This is me personally. I just like that.
What kind of wobble do you like?
Hey, the other good thing is our crappie bite is continuing to be called very good this past week. Talked with Kurt Rambo. He fishes Roosevelt most every day. Said he was out the other day for a few hours and brought in like 25 crappie. So he's fishing in 25 to 30 feet of water. He's fishing vertically. And what else can I say? Right in the brush, you always have to have some brush or some structure there for the crappie. But Kurt said that they're staying in bigger schools now, and from now until the end of November, ought to be excellent crappie fishing on Roosevelt Lake.
Any word on any catfish being brought in of any size?
Didn't hear a single report this week on catfish. That's not to say that they're not being caught. I just didn't get to hear of any.
I'm getting quite a few isolated reports of gizzard shad floating. Anybody mention that?
Yes. Not quite sure why, and it seems to go in cycles. Every month now, it seems like we're seeing that. And we're also, just by coincidence, every time there's a drop in temperature, like here in Payson, and down at Roosevelt Lake this past week, there's been a significant drop in temperature. It's the second time that's happened, and each time it happens, it's followed by reports of gizzard shad floating. So I'll take whatever it takes to kill them. I'll take it.
Yeah, amen. Yeah. So are you ready to try some of the recipes that I have for preparing the gizzard shad?
I think anything that we can come up with to get them. I've noticed that one of the new trends that's kind of started is I see a bunch of them laying right beside the ramp on the shore. So I think there's a message by some fishermen to kind of show other fishermen really what's going on in the lake. And,
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah. The other thing we wanted, I know we've been talking about the Wolf program, but we really wanted to thank Mr. Jim DeBoss and the Arizona Game and Fish team for coming up to Payson and holding the meetings that the U.S. Wildlife won't hold, and to get the word out here. A lot of credit to them. I think they did an excellent job in retrospect, and that's a pretty tough situation for them to walk into forest and rancher country and talk about an issue like this. So kudos to those guys.
You know, Jim has been actively involved prior to his re-engaging as an employee for the Game and Fish Department. He was actually our go-to person for writing our biological letters over the past 3 years regarding the Mexican gray wolf reintroduction. And Jim knows the score better than anybody. And quite frankly, decisions that were made by the Arizona Game and Fish Commission years ago are the issues that they have to dance to now because of the activities that took place 7, 8, 10, 20 years ago. And I wanted everybody who was listening to understand that the Game and Fish Department is not necessarily an advocate of the Mexican gray wolf, but what they are doing is they're trying to maintain a position of knowledge by trying to figure out what the Fish and Wildlife Service are doing. And New Mexico chose to abandon it, so they don't know what's going to happen, and they're just reacting. The department here in Arizona is actively engaged, and they understand that, but they have to be a participant in order to know what the Fish and Wildlife Service is thinking and doing. We had Jim Heffelfinger, who was on the biological assessment team, and he was the one who eventually left because of the disregard that the rest of the scientists had for him.
Yep.
Ted Turner's boys?
Ted Turner's boys. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then, one more thing, Don, before I jump off. If any of your listeners would like to have a copy of that letter that I sent to the newspaper, feel free to visit my website. It's www.rimcountrycustomrods.com. Rimcountry Custom Rods is all one word. And my email address is there, and I'll be glad to send it out to whoever would like to read it.
We'll do that. We'll put a link up on the SRT website. James, thanks for doing what you do, brother, and I'll talk to you next week. James Guggenauer, RimCountryCustomRods.com. We'll be back.
Raining like hell. Always.
All righty, we're back. Joy, I want to thank you for coming down. I know you haven't been home very long, and going to be back to work next week?
I worked yesterday.
You did?
But now the work really starts today. We have to go home and start processing meat. So
bummer. Yeah, like I'm going to feel bad for you.
Yeah, the sympathy level's way down.
Yeah, I'm sorry on that.
Well, I mean,
steaks, chop, roast, burgers, sausage, turkey. Nice.
You get to enjoy eating it. We got to go
I
do it. Well, if you want some, you're more than welcome to have some.
Don doesn't like
I've
that.
heard about is this: you don't have an elk tag. How come you didn't get an elk tag?
Because Joey and I will be sitting here next year going, Don's got an elk tag. God, am I jealous?
Yeah, nice. Well, one can only hope. I had one last year. My son and grandson decided to put in, while I was on the road, I didn't happen to have my hunting license in my pocket. He goes, we'll go ahead and put in, Dad. You can put in. All right. They got elk tags and deer tags, and I'm relegated to camp cook and
I thought of another term other than camp cook.
We have other words for that. But
yeah. You and I both know it. Rhymes with it.
I'm going to bypass the man
sorry
hug.
about your luck.
No, it's all good. You know, I honestly don't feel bad about it. In fact, I'm looking at it in retrospect. I'm really, really tickled I don't have one because I get to concentrate with my 11-year-old grandson.
I'd like to give a shout out for all elk hunters who had friends help them on their hunt, and me especially. I'll tell you what, without good friends coming up and helping me haul that elk out at my age anymore, I'd still be up there.
Oh, come on, you're a young pup.
Yeah.
But that's a shout out for all you elk hunters that had help.
It's a buddy system, man. I'm telling you.
It's got to be.
Oh, if I hadn't had two other people, I don't know that we would have been able to have trailed that bull for 2.5 miles.
I still have the bag of potatoes in my truck. I was waiting for that call. Liver, onions, potatoes.
Liver stayed.
Yeah.
It wasn't coming out, not after that length. It was an 8-hour
So,
deal.
JK, you're going to do the 5K run next year again?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, good for you.
Oh, yeah. Got to get in prep.
That's what I'm getting at.
You're sick.
Yeah, but it's fun. That mud run is so fun up in Payson. You promised we were going to have an SRT team next year doing this.
I think we need to rewatch that video.
No, we don't. No.
It's all good.
That's a fairly disparaging video of my physical capabilities at the time. I will be primed next year, knowing to run 200-yard sprints prior to the beginning of the race, so I will be ready.
Back to you, Joy. Please.
Wow. I'm just glad I can put a backpack on and climb up and down mountains.
Yeah, it's good to get in and out of the truck by yourself.
Yeah.
What's next on the hunt front, guys? Spring tags or
No. I got people I'm helping on deer hunts up
Yep.
in 3A, 3C. We got archery still coming at the end of this year. We can go through the McDowell Sonoran Preserve for javelina.
I'm good with that.
Oh, yeah.
The friend that helped me haul elk out, his fiance has a sheep tag. And
what?
He drew the tag, swear to God, 3 years ago, he drew it, and self-guided, myself and another friend went down and helped him glass and whatnot.
What unit?
45B.
Nice. 45B.
Yeah. it's it's a tough unit. That's where the mountain lion are allowed
Cofas.
You can't hunt mountain lions, so the mountain lion feed on sheep, and there's less sheep there that there used to be. But anyway,
about half.
Obviously I owe big time, so my rear end will be down there in the Cofas, helping them on their sheep hunt. So
That's awesome.
I get to do that. If I got time, I'll be bow hunting in December, and I have another young man that drew a 22 deer tag, and I'm going to be helping him. So.
Ooh, when is the tag? Is it rifle?
It's a rifle, yeah.
When's it start? No, December 3rd, I think, or November 3rd.
No. This is the October hunt.
Yeah, it's last week October.
Yeah, last week of October.
Yeah, we'll be up kicking around in
Want any help?
60.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
You betcha.
I'm just inviting myself all over the world.
Well, supposedly he's got access through some ranch property that puts him in areas where a lot of people are not allowed to be. So, I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Gee, you can't imagine why.
It's all good.
Yeah. I saw more bucks and does, muleys, than I did elk during my elk hunt.
What?
Swear to God. Yes.
Excellent.
How many horses did you see?
I had one when I was with Congressman Salmon. He wanted a picture because he didn't understand about wild horses.
Being loose in the woods.
Uh-huh. So he rolls up. They were grazing by the side of the road, and he rolled down his window on my side, and he said, "Take a picture." So I pulled my iPhone out, and I had to turn it on because we have it off because you lose all the juice in it. I'm turning it on, and I'm going, come on. And I look over, and the horse had his head in my window. It was this far from me. And I'm going, excuse me, this is personal space. Can you mind? Back off just a little. Snap, and took his picture.
Out of curiosity, what was the good congressman's reaction?
He was astounded to hear about it. A lot of it was news and information that he didn't have. I mean, he was aware that there was a wolf issue. He was not aware that there was necessarily the horse issue, so I gave him the history on where they came from and how they came from. And he kind of giggled when I told him that the wild horse lovers of America claimed that these were finally the long-lost descendants of the Spanish conquistadors. He giggled, which I giggled too, but, some federal judge bought it, so give me a break.
Yeah.
There was a band of approximately 4 that had lasted through the 80s and early 90s and into 2000. And after the Rodeo Chetasky fire, all of a sudden there were 200. Either those old stallions were really onto something, or it's all a lie. And we know it's a lie. So, but that's the way it's been published. So,
any thought about privatizing the U.S. Wildlife Service?
Now that is my best dream ever, to privatize the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Because there would be accountability, there would be a budget,
office.
Yeah, and there would be all kinds of things that we don't currently have because we have an endless supply of money courtesy of the taxation process. But if a private company ran the business the way the feds do, it would have been broke a long time ago. We all know that.
I think we're going to go ahead and post the Jim Beers issue and do some links, see if we can't get an audience or an interview with him.
I would love to talk to Jim Beers.
Because quite frankly, with the crap that's coming out of CBD, DOW, Lobos of
Sierra
the Southwest and Flagstaff need an airstrike.
Oh, and Defenders of Wildlife, don't forget to include them.
All of them, John. They all fit the mold. And we talk about getting people engaged. This is the most disengaged bunch of people, and furthermore, it's not about the wolves in the wild. It's about the money.
Oh, yeah.
You start following the money trail, and that's what's happening right now.
Well,
it smells of some pretty deep corrupt.
By the way, H.R. 2919, I think is what it is, presented by Congresswoman Loomis out of Wyoming and Congressman Cohen out of Tennessee. He's the Democrat, she's the Republican. 2919 is a summation or a recapping it's a bill that they want passed, where all the money that's awarded through the Equal Access to Justice Act each year needs to have a summary at the end of the year as to who got what, how much money, how many suits they filed, how much money was awarded to each individual organ. Oh, it would be a stunning eye-opener to the American public. I guarantee you the Sierra Club, Center for Biological Diversity, do not want that published. They do not want any of that information out there. But it's currently, and I talked to Liam Morrison, who is the legislative council person for Congressman Salmon. I advised him of the situation. He told me he was going to try and get some legs on it so that he understood it more, but he felt that it was a good one.
That's called transparency.
Oh, we wouldn't dare want transparency in government, would we?
That is?
Yeah.
No, they don't want that.
No, but that's the current resolution that's in there.
We're talking money in the billions with a B.
Oh, the awards that have been given to the Center, Sierra Club, and the National Wildlife Federation do indeed hit the B, billions. And that's serious, serious money. And it's their personal financial playground right now. Sportsmen and conservationists have never touched it. The envirolitigants, of course, have made organizations out of it. They'll hire $70 an hour attorneys to do their dirty work, and then they bill the government at $500 an hour, and they get paid
up to $650.
Yeah, they get paid that money by the United States federal government.
Want to become a leftist?
No. Never.
Pretty good retirement program.
Oh, it's a great retirement program. It's an endless supply of cash. Give me a break.
Joy, anything happening you want to talk about up at Lookout Mountain?
No, we got we're doing the Explorer optics. The scopes and binoculars are actually been doing pretty well for the money. It's a great little optic, and gun sales have been going pretty decent. And
address?
17232 North Cave Creek Road.
Landmarks?
Bridget's Last Lab.
Bridget's Lab, just north of Bridget's, in the same parking lot with a hay barn.
And south of the candy store, from what I hear.
Candy store.
All righty, hey, thanks for checking out Shake, Rattle, and Troll Day. Another thoughts and prayers to Seth Wakeling for his injury, and we wish him will come home soon.
Be well, Seth. John Colazar.
Joe Noctor.
I'm Don McDowell. Take your kids fishing, hug your bass boat, salute a soldier, man. We're out of here.